So, in keeping with his position as the broker of the holy name, we're going to sing Bolo Sukha Kavargai, which is the song of the broker. So. I am singing news of the greatest happiness. At the place known as Surabhi Kunja in Sri Navadvip, the marketplace of the holy name has now been opened, and Lord Nityananda himself is the proprietor. Except for the name of Blessed Lord Nityananda, no other shelter. Jai. So, we're reading from text 1, chapter 5 of Caitanya Caritamrita. Pande Nantad Bhutaishvaryam Pande Nantad Bhutaishvaryam Shri Nityanandam Ishvaram Shri Nityanandam Ishvaram Yasye Chaya Tatsvarupam Yasye Chaya Tatsvarupam Agni Agyenapi Nirupyate Agyenapi Nirupyate Pande. Let me offer my obeisances. Ananta, unlimited, Adbhuta, and wonderful. Aishvaryam, whose opulence. Shri Nityanandam, unto Lord Nityananda. Ishvaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yasya, whose. Ichaya, by the will. Tatsvarupam, his identity. Agyena, by the ignorant. Api, even. Nirupyate, can be ascertained. Translation. Let me offer my obeisances to Lord Sri Nityananda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose opulence is wonderful and unlimited. By his will, even a fool can understand his identity. Please repeat. Let me offer my obeisances to Lord Sri Nityananda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose opulence is wonderful and unlimited. By his will, even a fool can understand his identity. Jai. So Srila Prabhupada didn't write a purport for that, it's very self-explanatory. So who is Lord Nityananda? And we heard here, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He possesses all qualities, opulences, everything Krishna has. He's unlimited and he's inconceivable. He is the fountainhead of Guru Tattva. He holds up all the planets, and in the same way, he can support us in our spiritual life. So Srila Prabhupada explained that there's only two differences between Krishna and Balaram. That is, that Krishna is the color of a beautiful monsoon cloud, Shama. Actually, there's one place where Prabhupada says, in this world, there's no such color. Nobody has seen that color, that Shama color. But Lord Balaram has the color of a fresh rain cloud, white, beautiful white rain cloud. And the second difference is that Lord Krishna is in the mood that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and he is the Supreme Enjoyer. But Lord Balaram is in the mood of being the greatest servant. He simply wants to serve the Lord. So he's like the foremost assistants. These are assistant. And he's the foremost assistant in all of Krishna's pastimes, his incarnations, etc. So to execute Krishna's orders, Lord Balaram expands in 5 ways. First of all, Mahashankarshan. Mahashankarshan is the shelter of the spiritual energy and the cause of all causes. He is the shelter of everything and he has infinite power. And Mahashankarshan is but a partial expansion of Nityananda Ram. So, and the other expansions are Karanadakshay Vishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Kiradakshay Vishnu, to do with creation and maintenance. And then we have Anantashesh. That's the fifth expansion described in the Caitanya Caritamrita. So as Anantashesh, he performs unlimited pastimes to assist the Lord. For example, Lord Vishnu lies down on the beautiful white belly of Anantashesh. So if Lord Vishnu is feeling too hot, Anantashesh becomes very cold. If Lord Vishnu is feeling too cold, Anantashesh becomes beautifully warm. And he's always fulfilling all of the Lord's desires. So Asi is a very comfortable mattress. It's described that there's no mattress more comfortable than Anantashesh. So as Lakshman, he served Lord Ram day and night. And the pastime, of course, of Lord Ram is that Lord Ram has to go to the forest. He banished for 14 years. And there's no reason why a brother should go. Of course, a wife can go because she has to be with her husband. But a brother, when someone's banished, the brother is definitely not required to go. But in Lakshman's case, he absolutely insisted and would not hear of staying back, not at all. He wanted to go and be their servant. And he was such a perfect servant. He was the one who cut down fronds and palms and made their huts for them. He gathered food, he gathered water. In the night he sat outside their hut and guarded. So it's described that Lakshman did not sleep for 14 years. Such a wonderful servant. And we know Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram is always there for Lord Krishna. Lord Balaram is the holy Dham. He expands as the holy Dham. And as that holy Dham, and as such a personal servant of Krishna, if Krishna is coming home and is anxious to see Mother Yasoda, Lord Balaram contracts, the Dham contracts, so that Krishna can reach his mother more quickly. But if there's a demon coming, the Dham expands to make the demon have more difficulty to reach Krishna. So he's serving, but it's all very personal. Lord Balaram expands as the Lord's flute, clothes, jewellery, garlands, peacock feather, garlands, his bed, his carrier. So he serves Krishna in every possible way. So in his relationship as Lord Balaram, sometimes he chastises Krishna. Why have you eaten dirt? Because he doesn't want that he wants his brother to be full of good health, so he might chastise him. And in conjugal relationship, he's represented by Ananga Manjari. So he's always there for Krishna's conjugal pastimes as well. So when the Lord decides to come in Kali Yuga, the best of servants, Lord Nityananda, must accompany him. So even though Lord Nityananda is the source of everything animate and inanimate, and he possesses everything, but his only desire is to uninterruptedly serve Lord Chaitanya. So in our case, we want to enjoy. We're not the enjoyers, we're very tiny, but we want to enjoy. But the real enjoyer, Lord Nityananda, he chooses to serve. So Lord Nityananda, where did he appear? He appeared in West Bengal, in Radhadesh district, in a beautiful place called Ekachakra. I'm sure a lot of you have been there. It's very beautiful, lots of cows. So Ekachakra is a permanent, it's a holy place. And the Pandavas went there and spent some time there and actually killed a big demon there, way back. So it was always a holy place. And at one stage, there were a group of Brahmins there gathered at Ekachakra, and one astrologer said, well, actually, Lord Balaram is going to come here. He's going to come and he's going to appear here in Ekachakra. So everybody did the astrological calculations, and they were like, yes, he's going to come. But their grief was they would not be there when he came. It wouldn't be in their time. So this place, Ekachakra, is long a holy place. I do remember once, I cannot tell the story, there was a story that I was there with my daughter Jai Radhe and a friend, and we were reading from a pastime about a snake, a big snake that was living in a tree in Ekachakra, and I can't remember how it resolved. But as we were reading this pastime, we were just sitting on the grass, three of us. This yellow snake came right between us in Ekachakra on the grass and just went off. I mean, we couldn't, it was too quick for us to move. We just kind of, it was pretty funny because we were reading the pastime of this snake. So, in this beautiful place, Hadai Pandit was a great scholar, gentle. He was a gentleman, Brahmin, and very compassionate. As was his wife, they both shared that qualification of being very compassionate. And his wife was a great devotee and very chaste. So on the auspicious 13th day of the waxing moon in the month of Magha, Lord Nityananda made his divine appearance. So, seeing his beauty and characteristics, everybody in Ekachakra became joyful. And Lord Nityananda, as he grew up, he was more dear to all the residents of Ekachakra than their own children. They loved Lord Nityananda. He was like the center of Ekachakra. He was a constant companion of Hadai Pandit. The actual area of Ekachakra became very opulent. There had been some drought before, but there was so much rain, opulence, everything became beautiful when Lord Nityananda appeared. So as a child, he was covered, he kept covered. He didn't reveal his Godheadness, but he performed many different pastimes. He would perform pastimes of Lord Nrsingadev, Kapila, Lord Ram, Krishna's pastimes, many Vamanadev, many incarnations. And he would perform them beautifully and instruct all his friends how to perform this particular pastime. And all the inhabitants of Ekachakra were struck by this. They would watch and they would be astonished. How do you know these pastimes? How have you learned them? You've never had an opportunity to know these pastimes. And Lord Nityananda would smile very charmingly and say, these are my pastimes. So he was very blissful and happy there with his cowherd friends and the whole of Ekachakra. But he knew he's come for this purpose, the Sankirtan Yagya. So he was thinking, how can I arrange to get out of Ekachakra, because everybody's so attached. And so one sannyasi came one day, and he was a very young, sort of attractive sannyasi, and he stayed with Hadai Pandit, and they spoke Krishna Katha all through the night. And Hadai Pandit was very touched, that this sannyas had come. So in the morning, when the sannyas was about to leave, he said, I have one request. And Hadai Pandit was like, what can I do for you? I'll do anything. And then he said, I have no companion. I need a Brahmana companion. I would like to take Nitai. And for Harai Pandit, it was like a javelin in the heart. But what could he do? He'd said to the Brahmana he would give him what he wanted. He actually went and spoke to his wife. She also said, "You promised, you have to do it." So it was a very pitiable scene, not only for his parents, but also for the other townsfolk of Ekachakra, because they just couldn't have this. And some of them would offer, "Take my son, leave Lord Nityananda here." But the sannyasi was like determined, he wanted to have Lord Nityananda. So they left, and of course Harai Pandit collapsed, and the residence was stricken. And actually, over the years, many of them left, because they were so bereft. Because wherever they went, they saw, "Oh, Lord Nityananda used to enact this pastime here, this pastime there," and they were always remembering Lord Nityananda. So when he left, they were just heartbroken. And as for Harai Pandit, his wife said to him, "Why do you not die of separation?" And Harai Pandit said to her, "Dasarat died once. That is easy. I die at every moment." So they stopped eating, they stopped drinking, but they remained looking healthy. For a few months they didn't drink or eat. They were just absorbed, but because they were connected with Lord Nityananda's pastimes, they didn't become weak. But after a few months they left. And many others left Ekachakra because of their sadness. So, so Lord Nityananda, of course, is very beautiful. He has beautiful blossoming eyes like lotus petals, and it's described that his beauty is inconceivable. He likes to wear a blue dhoti. Can we think why he might like to wear a blue dhoti? He wants to remember Krishna. So, he went then to very many holy places. I'd just like to tell you one little pastime. After Lord Nityananda had left the planet, his wife, widow, Janavamata, of course, she took over as in charge of the Vaishnavas of West Bengal, and she went twice to Vrindavan and stayed there some time, met with the Goswamis, and came back through Ekachakra, which was her husband's home. But of course it was all ruined, the house was all ruined. So she had associates with her, and they performed kirtan all day in Harai Pandit's home, even though it was a wreck. And then that night she had a dream. She had a dream, and she saw that Vishvakarma had made a palace where that hut stood. And she dreamed that there were 3 thrones set up in the house. She was placed on one throne, Lord Nityananda was in the middle, and her sister, Lord Nityananda's other wife, Vasudha, was on the other throne. And she dreamed that her parents-in-law, Harai Pandit and Padmavati, were there and giving her so much love and serving them all. So she thought to herself, "I don't want to go back to Kadaha, I just want to stay here in Ekachakra." But then she heard a voice the next morning that said, "You should go back to Kadaha." So Lord Nityananda went travelling to many, many, many holy places. He went all through the north of India first, right across, every holy place. There are thousands and thousands of holy places in India. Of course, he went to Vrindavan, and he sort of slowly went down. And he met various people in his travels. He went down south and back up to the north. So while he was travelling, one of the people he met was Lakshmipati Tirtha. And Lakshmipati Tirtha was a great devotee. And the night before he met him, Lakshmipati Tirtha had a dream that a beautiful young Brahmin will come to you for initiation, and you should give. So the other thing was that Lakshmipati Tirtha's deity was Lord Balaram. He worshipped Lord Balaram. So the next morning, Lord Nityananda came and he asked for an initiation. And he was so beautiful and stunning, and Lakshmipati Tirtha immediately gave him a mantra. And he sort of became so much in love with Lord Nityananda. So that was his spiritual master, Lakshmipati Tirtha. However, he also met Madhavendra Puri, and Madhavendra Puri was, like they say, his foremost guru, like Shiksha Guru. So the other people that he met on his travels were many people, but he met Lord Shiva and Parvati on the Shaila mountain, and Parvati cooked for him. And they spent some beautiful Katha time together. And he met, in the Himalayas, he met Vyasadeva, he met the Naranarayan Rishis, and of course he met Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri, we know that Madhavendra Puri was the one who was ecstatically in love with Radha and Krishna and always displaying loving symptoms. So when the two of them met, it was the most beautifully stunning sort of transcendental meeting, at which both of them initially couldn't even speak. And then as they saw, they both had tears in their eyes from love of God. So as they saw those tears, they melted together, fell on the ground, and all Madhavendra's disciples were like amazed. They'd never come across a personality like Lord Nityananda, nor seen this immense affection that Madhavendra Puri was showing for Lord Nityananda. So they had many days together, and they were exhibiting many ecstatic symptoms. It was very wonderful for the disciples to observe this, and they also got pulled into that love that Lord Nityananda was displaying in Madhavendra Puri. So finally he went to Jagannath Puri for some time, and up to Gangasagra, and then back to Vrindavan, second time to Vrindavan, and there in Vrindavan he waited. He was travelling many years, because his age is like, he appeared 13 years before Lord Chaitanya. So he waited there in Vrindavan. And in Vrindavan he would have wonderful pastimes. He would play in the sand, he would jump in the Jamuna River and float down, and he'd play with the cowherd boys and cows. He was in his element because there were cowherd boys and cows everywhere. So he was very happy in Vrindavan. So sometimes it's explained he wouldn't eat. He wouldn't eat for weeks because he was so ecstatic. He'd just drink a little bit of milk when he was there in Vrindavan. He was very much immersed in that Gopa-lila. So meantime in Navadvip, Lord Chaitanya had revealed himself to his devotees. After hiding his identity for those first scholastic years, then he revealed himself after he came back from being initiated. So then he was thinking, I'm here, I want to start the Sankirtan movement. Where is my Lord Nityananda? And Lord Nityananda then heard that call and he came across from Vrindavan. So the description of Lord Nityananda: he has enchanting beauty of face which defeats millions of moons. He has a smile which enchants all people. He has a beautiful golden effulgence, beautiful brilliant teeth like rays of pearls. He has two broad lotus eyes which increase the beauty of his face. His hands reach to his knees. His chest is broad. His fingernails look like jewels. His lotus feet are soft, and his gait was very graceful. So he came to Nandana Acharya's house, and he remained in that house. Nandana Acharya was a great devotee, and he was very ecstatic to have Lord Nityananda there. So Lord Nityananda started to indicate to his devotees that a great personality, Lord Chaitanya indicated a great personality had come. So he became very happy in his heart, and he had a dream at night Lord Balaram was coming. So he was telling all the devotees, that Lord Balaram was going to come. And then he entered this mood of Lord Balaram. Bring me wine, bring me wine. And the devotees were like stunned. Lord Chaitanya wants wine. And after some time, he came out of that mood and he asked Haridas and Nityananda, please go and find this wonderful personality. So they searched all over for a transcendental personality. They were very happy too. Everyone was happy. Because Lord Nityananda, Nitya, Ananda, always blissful, so there was this feeling now in Navadvipa, this bliss coming. But they couldn't find anybody. So they came back and they said, oh, we couldn't find anyone. So Lord Chaitanya jumped up and he said, come with me. So they had a wonderful kirtan and Lord Chaitanya was dancing and jumping as they went along to Nandanacharya's house. He was leaping in the air very happily. And then they saw this beautiful, effulgent Lord Nityananda. So Lord Nityananda was stunned to see Lord Chaitanya. Nobody could speak. All the devotees were like just staring in wonderment at Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya said to Srivas, please recite a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. So he started to talk about Krishna's pastimes with his flute and cowherd boy pastimes. Then Lord Nityananda fell to the ground, started rolling in ecstasy. And the devotees all became very ecstatic. Lord Nityananda woke up, he cried, he danced, he jumped, he laughed. Where is my cowherd boy, Kanai, he was calling. So Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya embraced and they began dancing, and the devotees were like so blissful to observe. Everybody started dancing, and at that point Lord Nityananda surrendered his life to Lord Chaitanya. That was the point where he just gave everything to Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Nityananda stayed at Srivas Sangam, and we know at Srivas Sangam there were many wonderful night kirtans, beautiful pastimes there. Many pastimes went on there. And also throughout Navadvip, there were many wonderful kirtans, very blissful, more and more people gathering in. They went to the Kazi and demanded that everybody be able to chant. There was a lot of kirtan and blissful sort of, all throughout Navadvip and Mayapur, there was engagement from these devotees, many devotees in these wonderful kirtans. So then Lord Chaitanya sent Lord Nityananda and Haridas to go out and start to approach the people of Navadvip, and he told them to beg everyone to chant Krishna's names, to worship Krishna, and to understand the science of Krishna. So out they went, and we can just imagine, knock, knock, knock. You're a normal resident of Navadvip, Mayapur. There's this knock on the door, and when you open up the door, there's this beautiful, golden, effulgent Lord with tears coming out his lotus eyes. Those eyes almost reach his ears, and there's tears coming down, and he starts to beg these people, please chant Krishna's names, please worship Krishna, please find out about Krishna. And if they don't immediately become ecstatic and start chanting, which a lot of them did, he'd go down on his knees, gushing tears, begging, 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 please chant the Lord's names, please worship Krishna. And sometimes he'd roll in ecstasy. So what could they do? Of course, some could resist, and they actually got beaten sometimes, and then laugh and run away. Other times people would say, oh, this Nitai has been made mad. They've been made mad by Nimai Pandit. Or sometimes they'd think, oh, have they come to scope my house to steal something? And people would have various responses. So pastimes together, Lord Nityananda and Sri Haridas Thakur, imagine they're so exalted. And Lord Nityananda is described in the Caitanya Caritamrita as funny. So the pastimes were full of fun. So they would go back and they would report to Lord Chaitanya in the evening what had happened. So they had no fear, of course. How could they have fear? But so then there's a pastime, of course, with Jagai Madai, and I don't want to take too much time with it. It's so famous, but I have to just read a little bit. This is the Nityananda Caritamrita. This is Chaitanya Bhagavat. They're both written by Vrindavan Das Thakur, who's described as Vyasadeva reincarnating. So I just wanted to read some verses from there. So this is regarding Jagai and Madai. Lord Chaitanya has descended to fulfill, this is Lord Nityananda thinking. Lord Chaitanya has descended to fulfill the fallen, to deliver the fallen people of this age. Where will he find anyone more fallen than these two? The Lord has not yet revealed himself to the ordinary people. Not seeing his uncommon influence, they are ridiculing him. If the Lord bestows mercy on these two sinful drunkards, then the people of the entire world will see his transcendental glories. Being known as Nityananda, the servant of Lord Chaitanya, will have meaning only if I can purify their hearts and deliver them. How wonderful it will be if they become intoxicated by chanting Krishna's names the same way they are now intoxicated. If I can make these two take the Lord's name and cry, I will then consider all my travels to holy places a success. At present, whoever even touches the shadow of these two drunkards at once bathes in the Ganges with his clothes on. I will be extremely fortunate if I'm able to get people to accept that simply seeing these drunkards is the same as bathing in the Ganges. So if you can purify them, just by seeing those pure devotees, people will get purified. So, they loudly went up to these debauchees and loudly said, "Chant Krishna, worship Krishna, sing the glories of Krishna. Krishna is your mother, father, wealth and life. Lord Krishna will mercifully deliver you. Please give up your life, your sinful life, and worship him." So we know that didn't go down very well. So they started to chase them, to beat them, and they were running, and Haridas Thakur said, "I cannot run anymore. Alas, why did I come with this mischievous Nityananda, even after knowing about his restless nature? Krishna saved me before from the wrath of the Muslims, but now I'm surely going to lose my life because of this mischievous person." So, of course, we know that Lord Chaitanya then was upset with these Malecha rascals, and Lord Nityananda begged for mercy for them. And he actually sent his chakra, but Lord Nityananda said, "No, you cannot use a chakra. This is not your age for the chakra. This is the age to give the holy name. We have to be compassionate." So through Lord Nityananda's compassion, first Jagai, when Jagai became very angry the second time, he threw a pot which made Lord Nityananda bleed. Jagai then became a little worried and concerned and was chastising Madai. So he first surrendered, and then Madai surrendered. But rather than tell the whole full pastime, we know that this is kind of the very famous benchmark for Lord Chaitanya Lord Nityananda saving the biggest rascals. So after this, Lord Chaitanya privately told Lord Nityananda that he wanted to take sannyas. So Lord Lord Nityananda said to him, well, you know, if it's your will, no one will oppose you. No one will oppose your will. And then Lord Chaitanya told him, I want you to tell 5 people only that I'm going to take sannyas. I want you to tell Mother Sachi, Gadadhar Pandit, Brahmananda, Mukunda and Chandrasekhar. So they were the ones that went along when he had the head shaved. But Lord Nityananda, after he heard Lord Chaitanya tell him this, he went alone and he cried. He cried because Lord Chaitanya was going to shave off his beautiful hair, and he cried to think of all the pain of the devotees in Navadvip because Lord Chaitanya wouldn't be able to stay there as a sannyasi. So Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, and before going to Puri, he sent Lord Nityananda to Navadvip to try to relieve the distress of the devotees. And so on the way, Lord Nityananda has some. This is Lord Nityananda on the way, overwhelmed with ecstasy. Nityananda Prabhu constantly roared like an intoxicated lion. His pastimes are beyond Vedic prescriptions and prohibitions. Sometimes he climbed up a kadamba tree. Sometimes he played a flute while standing in a threefold bending posture. Sometimes he rolled in the pastures. And sometimes he drank milk from a cow, just like a calf. He danced along the entire path out of his own sweet will. He was merged so deeply in the ocean of bliss that he completely forgot himself. Sometimes he would sit down on the road and cry. Hearing his crying melted the hearts of the people. Sometimes he laughed out loud. Sometimes he took off his cloth and tied it around his head. Sometimes, in the mood of Ananta, he floated enchantingly on the waves of the Ganges. The glories of Nityananda Prabhu are inconceivable and unfathomable. His causeless mercy is matchless within the 3 worlds. So, and then Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and many devotees went to Puri. They went together. And on the way, of course, we know that Lord Nityananda broke Lord Chaitanya's sannyas staff. And when he broke that staff, he said, "Oh Danda, it is wrong that the Lord that I carry in my heart carries you." And then he broke it. So, on the way to Puri, at times, out of love for the Lord, Lord Nityananda was fall on the ground so hard that people thought his limbs would break into pieces. Other times he would simply dance according to his own sweet will. When he danced, the whole world seemed to tremble. This is not at all astonishing for him, because he is non-different from Lord Anantadev. He has now incarnated in this world as Lord Nityananda. Everything is possible by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, in whose heart Lord Gaurachandra constantly resides. So then Lord Chaitanya got very angry that his staff had been broken and thrown in the river. So he went on alone to Jagannath Puri. But Lord Nityananda also went to Jagannath Puri, of course, with the other devotees. So let's just do this. Okay, so when he entered the temple of Lord Jagannath, Nityananda was absorbed in love for Lord Chaitanya, and he became terribly agitated by seeing Lord Jagannath, so that he couldn't remain steady. As soon as he saw Lord Jagannath, Nityananda ran to embrace him. The guards could not check him, so Nityananda climbed onto the altar and embraced the deity of Balaram. As Nityananda climbed onto the deity's throne, the guards tried to stop him, catching hold of his hand, but he simply pushed them away. He then took the garland from Lord Balaram and placed it around his neck. At this time, the temple priests took garlands from Lord Jagannath and happily offered them to the devotees. Receiving Lord Jagannath's mercy in the form of the garlands, all the devotees became extremely pleased. Thereafter they returned to Sarvabhauma's house. Wearing the garland of Balaram, Nityananda walked like the king of elephants. The temple guards thought, this mendicant is not an ordinary man. How could anyone survive after touching Balaram? We control even mad elephants, and so what to speak of ordinary men? We tried to grab him, but he scattered us like straws. Remembering this incident, the temple guards showed great respect to Nityananda whenever they saw him. In his mood as a child, Nityananda Swarup often embraced the Lord with loving affection. So, I think I've only got one more to read. Oh no, there's a few more. So Lord Nityananda did come to Puri, and once Lord Caitanya had come to Jagannath Puri, he was to remain there and not go. But the Sankirtan movement had to be spread. So he sent Lord Nityananda to go to Bengal and spread the Sankirtan movement. So Lord Nityananda was his representative. This is... Lord Chaitanya said, listen, magnanimous Nityananda, go immediately to Navadvip. I had promised I would drown everyone, including fools, fallen and sinful people, in the ocean of Krishna Prem. If you remain here with me as an ascetic, keeping a vow of silence and concealing your enthusiasm, then who will deliver the fallen souls of this world? You are the bestower of love and devotion. Please tell me, if you always restrain yourself, then what is the use of your incarnation? If you want to make my words prove true, go to Bengal at once. Deliver everyone by giving Krishna bhakti to all the foolish, fallen, low caste and distressed people. So he went to follow the orders of Lord Chaitanya to distribute Krishna Prem. So in whichever direction Lord Nityananda glanced, his lotus eyes would sprinkle showers of Krishna Prem. He sported with a stick that was made of fine gold-plated sculptured iron. He always carried this stick in his hand, in the mood of Lord Balaram, who had carried a similar stick. Lord Nityananda, along with his associates, visited the houses of devotees. He travelled to all the villages on both sides of the Ganges, spreading the holy name of Lord Krishna. He constantly enjoyed the transcendental mellows of loving relationship. His name and form are non-different. Simply seeing him, all living entities became captivated. Even atheists would immediately offer prayers to Nityananda as soon as they saw him, and at once they desired to offer everything to him. The transcendental body of Nityananda Swarup was very sweet and attractive. He generously bestowed his mercy upon everyone, whether eating, sleeping or travelling. He did not waste a moment by not performing Sankirtan. Wherever Lord Nityananda performed Sankirtan and danced in ecstasy, he captivated the minds of hundreds of people. So, while hearing the pastimes of Krishna, this is when he went to visit one devotee called Vidarbha. While hearing the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, Nityananda Prabhu danced so emotionally that it was beyond description. He matchlessly danced, exhibiting all these symptoms of ecstatic love and devotion. The movements of his dancing can be compared only to lightning. His legs and hands appeared incredibly enchanting. How wonderfully he moved his eyes and smiled. The shaking of his head was wonderful. He put his beautiful feet together and jumped up and down in a most spectacular way. All the men and women floated in the happiness of Krishna Prem by the merciful glance of Nityananda. His merciful glance was so intense that everyone forgot himself in spiritual ecstasy. By his mercy, everyone easily achieved the love and devotion aspired to by great sages and yogis. So, He went to visit Mother Sachi. She was very happy to see him, and she considered that Lord Nityananda was her other son, and he indeed considered Mother Sachi, who's Mother Yasoda, as his mother. So they had a beautiful relationship, and he visited various places in Navadvip, and everyone was so ecstatic to see him back in Navadvip. There's one more. Okay, so this is in Navadvip. The pious people of Navadvip received unlimited happiness by seeing the supremely enchanting Sankirtan dress of Lord Nityananda. He expertly decorated his head with fine cloths adorned with beautiful flowers. He wore many necklaces of jewels and pearls, decorated his ears with beautiful gold and pearl earrings. He wore bangles and bracelets on his arm. I am unable to describe how many lovely flower garlands decorated his body. Just like today, he's got lots of beautiful garlands. He smeared his entire body with sandalwood pulp. He enjoyed his pastimes. How wonderful was the stick Nityananda held in his hand. His 10 fingers were decorated with 10 golden rings. He dressed very wonderfully with fine cloths of different colours, including white, blue and yellow. A stick and flute adorned his waist. His enchanting beauty captivated the minds of everyone. He enhanced the beauty of his 2 lotus feet with silver ankle bells that made beautiful sounds as he walked like an intoxicated elephant. Wherever Lord Nityananda glanced, Krishna Prem appeared. Lord Chaitanya delivered many fallen souls, and through Lord Nityananda he liberated the whole world. Lord Nityananda saved everyone, thieves, plunderers, and all other wretched and fallen souls. So when Lord Nityananda returned to Puri at one stage, even though Lord Chaitanya had said, "Don't come," Lord Nityananda visited his Lord in Puri again. And at that time, Lord Nityananda told him to get married. And he told him, as Lord Balaram, you didn't expand by many children, but in this life you should get married and you should have children, and they will have descendants. So, and he said to him, I'll appear in your house. So he married Janava Devi, and he married Vasudha. And Janava Devi did not have children, but Vasudha had 2 children. His son's name was Virabhadra. So Virabhadra is described as Lord Chaitanya, being Lord Chaitanya. That Lord Chaitanya he was so attractive. When that baby was born, people were like so ecstatic to see that gorgeous, because of that effulgence, very beautiful. And sometimes, they would see that Lord Chaitanya was present in this child. And then I think the other one was Ganga. We had a child called Ganga. So his service in Bengal was to preach. So he travelled constantly around Bengal, and it's described that the same thing with Lord Chaitanya. If you just saw Lord Chaitanya, just by seeing his beautiful effulgent form, you'd get love of God. So this was happening with Lord Nityananda. Just by seeing him, people would become completely ecstatic, and their lives would be transformed. Just imagine that potency. So, just as our Sambandha Guru, Sanatana Goswami, and our Abhideya Guru, Rupa Goswami, and our Prayojana Guru, Raghunath Das Goswami, they made their connection with Lord Chaitanya through Lord Nityananda. So it was Lord Nityananda and Haridas who met Sanatana and Rupa, and in the night in Ramkeli, and took them in and introduced them to Lord Chaitanya. So they got Lord Nityananda's mercy, and then Lord Chaitanya gave his blessings. And Raghunath Das, we know, he was desperate for Lord Chaitanya's mercy. He wanted to serve Lord Chaitanya for so long. And his pastime of trying to leave was kind of almost pathetic. But it would never happen. So then he heard that Lord Nityananda had come to Panihat. And he went to see the Lord. So Lord Nityananda asked him to provide a feast, and of course he had lots of money, so he provided a wonderful dahi feast for all the devotees. And brahmanas came, people came, dogs came, everybody was fed. So that pleased Lord Nityananda. And then after everybody had eaten to their full satisfaction, Raghunath Das had served everybody, then he went to Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Nityananda, and Lord Nityananda put his feet upon the head of Raghunath Das, and he told him, "You'll get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya." And how did he know? He was the one that was giving him the mercy to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Nityananda is, and of course we know, then easily he could leave. He went to Lord Chaitanya and took shelter. But it only happened through Lord Nityananda's mercy. So because Lord Nityananda is completely full of compassion and love for the conditioned soul, and because he's not like Lord Chaitanya had some strictness, in his in some of his pastimes he was quite strict, but Lord Nityananda just gave out Krishna prema everywhere. So of course, we want to love Krishna. That's what it's all about. We want to get free from this bodily conditioning and fill our hearts with love for Krishna. So how will we do that? We have Lord Nityananda. It's a funny sort of line. We have Guru. We have then the disciplic succession. We have the Goswamis. Then we have Lord Nityananda. Then we have Lord Chaitanya. So by begging, on these days we can beg Lord Chaitanya for that mercy, that will he connect us up to Lord Chaitanya, just as he did for so many others. And Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya came to make spiritual life easy in Kali Yuga. When you read Srimad Bhagavatam, there's all these stories about these sages that had to meditate for, thousands of years, some of them underwater, and so many austerities. But here we are in Kali Yuga, we can't do anything. But Lord Chaitanya came, Lord Nityananda came, and they made the process attainable. Chant and dance. And Prabhupada used to say, chant, dance and eat prasadam. What is the problem? So Lord Nityananda, that's his kindness. It has made it easy for us. So I humbly request you all to take advantage of this day to bring Lord Nityananda into your heart and to beg him for Lord Chaitanya's mercy, because if you beg sincerely, he will give you that mercy. So thank you so much. Forgive any mistakes or offences. And I hope you all have a blissful day today for Lord Nityananda. Jai, Nitai Gauranga ki jai, Shri Nityananda Ram ki jai.
Gauranga.
Gauranga.
Nityananda.
Jai.